In 100 weeks, I read 107 books. This works out to me regularly reading one book a week for about 2-ish years, sometimes 2 books a week. In other words, 100 plus glistening books sitting atop my bookshelf as astounding proof of my insane intellect to anybody who saw them. Except I knew the truth. They weren't. For those 2 whole years, I was speed reading through all of these books just so I could put them on my bookshelf as trophies. I would always look forward to people coming over and seeing all the page flags and all my completed books so they could see how much I'd read. It definitely made me feel smarter than I really was. But if someone came over and asked me today what the main idea was in any one of those books, I probably couldn't even remember. I doubt I could even remember the author's name. Once I started reading with the tips I'm going to share with you in this video, I looked back on those 2 years and realized how shitty it was that I wasted all that time because I really didn't gain any knowledge. I could have been reading in a way where I really grasped the content, and that could have accelerated me so far through life. And that's why I want to share with you 3 crucial tips so you don't make the same mistake I did and you get everything out of the books that you read. But make sure you stick around to the end, because at the end, I'm going to give you a bonus tip, which is the thing I use to take a book from just words on a page to actionable advice that I can use in my real life. So if you want to avoid the reading traps that stole my potential and wasted time in my life, then we're about to get started. First, if you're new here, my name is Spencer. I'm the 28-year-old COO of a company that did $30 million in sales in just 30 months. Now with the intro out of the way, let's jump in. Now again, the issue with the way you're currently reading is that it's going in one ear, or eye, I guess, and out the other. You're probably spending all this time reading books, which is great. It's just that you're not retaining the information. This means that reading has become some sort of self-satisfying ego jerk, and it's not actually moving the needle in your life. To combat these issues, you actually need to learn how to read. And I guarantee you, your competition nor your friends are doing the things that I'm going to tell you in this video. Okay, point 1, come with a question. The reason this one is so important is twofold. The first reason is that when you come to a book with a specific question in mind, you begin to read the book with intention. This makes books both immediately actionable, and it helps you select which book to read so you're not just wasting time on random shit. But the second reason is after you act on the book's actionable advice, it often solidifies that information in your brain way better because you've connected it to so many things beyond just what you just read. And this makes that new learned information super easy to recall in the future when similar issues arise. Now, the second tip, highlighters are just 1/3 of your recall strategy. Let me explain. Okay, so here's the thing with highlighting. You and me both know that when we run a highlighter over what we think are important words, we just intend to come back to them later in the future. But what actually happens when we highlight, our brains shut down and stop consuming that information because we've told ourselves we're gonna come back to it later. So we don't even really consume the stuff at that time. We think to ourselves, oh yes, I've successfully stored this most important information because I've ran a colorful pen over the important words. Bull. The truth is, you're not coming back to it later, and now that value has been wasted. If you are going to highlight, then you need 2 other tools that make the highlighting actually worth it and effective. Now, the first one is page flags. I mentioned this earlier in a negative light, but they can be really, really helpful if you use them properly. Now, page flags are hugely important because you need a visual medium to indicate where in a book have you actually highlighted the important information. Now, the second crucial tool that you need to make highlighting actually useful for your brain to use is gonna come at the end of this video. So like I promised, stay till the end and you're gonna get that. The third and final tip that I have for you about reading in general is to use reading milestones. Here's a hard pill to swallow. The reason why you can't finish or even start a book is because you don't have a strategy to get through them. Here's what you currently do, and don't lie. You look at a book, you like the title, you convince yourself you're gonna read it, you maybe read 3 pages at most, you stop, then you tell yourself you'll either get to it on that Sunday afternoon you end up filling with some other stuff, or on that vacation that you're never gonna take. And so you never actually read the book. Well, here's how we're gonna solve this. What I want you to do is get a sticky Post-it note. On it, I want you to write out evenly spaced intervals with a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 7. In my case, I do 7. I choose days of the week, Monday through Sunday. Next step is look at how many pages your target book has in it. If you wanna read a certain book, open to the back, see what the last page number is. That's how many pages are in it, in case you didn't know. Now, I want you to divide the total number of pages by the amount of intervals that you set. Congratulations, you now have a reading schedule with milestones. This divides up the whole task of trying to read an entire book into manageable, digestible segments. Honestly, you're gonna thank me later. Like I mentioned earlier, I used to speed read through books and not get anything out of them. I had this magnificent bookshelf which really did look cool, but it did nothing for me or my brain or my knowledge. When I started choosing and reading books with a question that I had in mind, using reading tools like highlighters and page flags properly, And pre-selecting reading milestones, I was able to start using the knowledge I gained from books to change my life. I now make multi-six figures a year. I have a physique that I'm proud of. I have deeper relationships than I've ever had. I know how to learn, I know how to persuade, and I operate a business that's enjoying explosive growth. I believe none of this would have materialized if I didn't learn how to read properly. Now, if you've made it to the end of this video, I want to congratulate you. You obviously care about learning how to read and take information and use it in your actual day-to-day life. As a thank you, I'm going to share with you my 4th bonus tip that's going to supercharge your learning when it comes to reading books. This tip is called the retrospective. On this sticky note, I want you to add one final interval, one final date. You're also going to add this date as a reminder in your phone. It's going to be exactly 3 months after the last interval that you set on that sticky note. So you're going to read the book, which hopefully has changed your life with these new tips that allow you to actually take information from books. You're going to look at that book, maybe with a new question, open the parts that have the page flags, review the highlighted parts, and review the content you consumed last quarter. This will greatly improve your retention of the content. The retrospective has been insanely powerful for me because it can refresh your entire knowledge of the book in just 30 minutes. And now, as promised, your page flags and your highlighters have their 3rd piece of the puzzle, the retrospective. As someone with big goals, if you personally feel like books have contributed to your potential, then you now need to learn how to leverage that potential into new opportunities in life. So in about 10 seconds, I'm going to put a video up on your screen that shows you how to have people see you for the person you want to be, that potential person that you want to be, and not the place that you're stuck now. So make sure you stick around for that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Spencer with Must Become, and I will see you in the next one.